Good afternoon. Welcome to African Economy, a half-hour show that explores economic development, policy decisions, and market trends influencing Nigeria and the broader African continent. And here is what we have prepared for you today. Nigeria's non-oil trade hits record $6.1 billion. Nigerian government ordered to banks and fintechs to remit 7.5% VAT on service fees. Africa's top three economies see improved outlook as IMF revises growth for 2026 and 2027. Ethiopia moves to take full control of its own currency. You are welcome to the program African Economy. I am Wangfonabasi Water. And this is African Economy. As usual, we begin with the currency market. The US dollars against the Nigerian naira exchange rate fell to 1,418 naira 91 kobo with a percentage of 0.04. The US dollars against the South African rand is at 16 rand per US dollar with a percentage of 0.36. The US dollars against the Zambian kwacha is at 20 kwacha per US dollar. The US dollars against the Egyptian pound is at 47 pound per US dollar with a percentage of 0.14. The US dollars against the Algerian dinar is at 129 per dinar per US dollar with a percentage of 0.28. The US dollars against the Angolan kwanza is at 922 kwanza per US dollar with a percentage of 0.36. Hold on. As we look ahead, the IMF has updated its 2026 growth projections for African economies, especially Nigeria and Egypt, due to observed economic recovery and policy reforms. Nigeria's economy is expected to grow steadily, reaching 4.4% in 2026, supported by favorable energy market trends and structural reforms. South Africa's growth remains constrained by long-standing domestic challenges, achieving only moderate forecast increases. Egypt's economic outlook improved with growth projected to reach 5.4% by 2026 and 2027, reflecting strengthened macroeconomic stability. Globally, the IMF expects the world economy to grow by 3.3% in 2026 and 3.2% in 2027 and show conditions and private sector adaptability, even as trade policy uncertainty persist. Nigeria's non-oil export earnings rose to a record of $6.1 billion last year, marking an 11.5% increase from the $5.4 billion recorded in 2024 and reinforcing the country's long-running push to reduce its dependence on crude oil revenues. Data compiled by pre-shipment inspection agencies and cited by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council shows that the 2025 performance is the highest since the agency was established nearly 5 decades ago. The growth reflects both higher export volumes and wider access to international markets for Nigerian goods. Speaking during a progress report and 2026 export outlook briefing, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Noye Ayeni, said the results signal deeper integration of Nigeria's non-oil sector into global trade. Export volumes also increased, underscoring improvement in production capacity and supply chain participation. Total non-oil exports reached 8.02 million metric tons in 2025, up from 7.29 million metric tons in 2024, a growth rate of about 10%. We'll leave the oil space now to the aviation sector, where flying in Africa is rarely just about the ticket price. Behind every airfare is a long list of taxes, fees and charges that can raise the cost of travel. The aviation sector is subject to multiple levies, including fuel taxes, passenger service charges, security fees, airports landing and takeoff cost, and environmental taxes. While these charges are meant to fund exist, on average, African passengers pay about 3.5 different charges on international departures, totaling roughly $68 in 2024, up from $66 in 2022. Below the top 10 African currencies with the highest international flight taxes. Top on the list is Gabon with $297.7. The top Africa's list for international flight taxes, reflecting high government-imposed charges on outbound air travel. Second is Sierra Leone with $294.0, and they rank second with international flight taxes among the highest on the continent. The elevated charges are partly linked to airport development cost and revenue generation efforts by the government. Third on the list is Nigeria with $180.0, and they reflect a complex mix of statutory charges, airports fees and regulatory costs. As one of Africa's largest aviation markets by population, these taxes add significantly to ticket prices for travelers and airlines. Fourth is Djibouti with $168.7, and the rank, despite its small population and limited commercial aviation market. Fifth is Niger with $130.7. Niger imposes relatively high international departure taxes compared to its economic size and passenger volumes. Sixth is Benin with $123.4. Benin's international flight taxes place it among Africa's most expensive countries for outbound air travel. While the government has prioritized airport modernization and regional connectivity, high charges add to ticket costs for passengers. Seventh is Senegal with $122.6, while Dakar's position itself as a regional aviation hub. High departure charges increase fares and may deter price-sensitive travelers. Eighth is Liberia with $115.0. Liberia's international flight taxes reflect effort to fund the airport's operations and aviation oversight in a small market with limited traffic. However, high charges contribute to expensive airfares and restrict route expansion by airlines. Ninth is Ghana with $111.5. Ghana's international flight taxes remain relatively high despite Accra's growing status as a regional aviation hub. Last is Democratic Republic of Congo with $109.9. The DRC rounds out the top 10 with high international flight taxes, reflecting operational cost and regulatory fees. We go on a quick break, and when we return, African economy continues. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is still African Economy, bringing you insight to business stories. And now to the rest of the stories. Africa's role in global migration continues to expand, driven by a complex mix of economic pressures, conflicts, demographic growth, and climate stress. According to the latest UN International Migrant Stock data sets published by the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, millions of Africans now live outside the countries of birth, making migration one of the continent's most defining socio-economic trends. At its core, migration from Africa is shaped by structural economic challenges. Rapid population growth has outspaced job creation in many countries, leaving millions of young people facing unemployment or underemployment. Let's look at its 10 African countries with the most number of citizens traveling abroad. Egypt, Sudan, Morocco, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo illustrates Africa's diverse migration drivers, from economic pressures to conflict. Egypt sees mostly economic migration, with workers heading to the Gulf, Europe, and North America, sending remittances home. Let's see what is happening in the eastern part of Africa. Ethiopia, where they are working to localize production of its currency, the Ethiopian birr, to mitigate external risks. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed made this announcement, highlighting the initiative's intent to mitigate the risks associated with the external printing of the country's legal tenders. The Prime Minister said at the 2026 Finance Forward Ethiopia's conference that this project would be overseen by the country's state-owned investment arm, Ethiopian Investment Holdings. Saudi Arabia's move to position itself as a major player in Africa's gold trade, announcing readiness to begin immediate purchases of bullion from Sudan. The development marks a significant shift from Khartoum, which has long relied on Dubai as the primary destination for its gold export. Sudanese authorities hope the move will provide a more transparent, secure and profitable channel for the country's mineral wealth. According to the report, the announcement came following high-level talks with Riyadh between Saudi Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, Bandar, and Sudan's Minister of Minerals, Noor al-Nayam Teha, on the sidelines of the 5th Future Minerals Forum, an event that drew participation from more than 100 countries. The ministers explored ways to deepen cooperation, expand mutual investment, and align their mining sectors to foster economic growth. A subsistence meeting between a Sudanese delegation, including Mohamed Tahir Omar, Director General of the Sudanese Mineral Resources Company, and Suleiman bin Saleh Al Otiam, Chairman of the Saudi Gold Refinery Company, confirmed the refinery's readiness to start operations immediately. Lastly, in African economy, education remains one of the most important drivers of development across Africa. The East Africa is no exception. The region is home to universities that have not only shaped generations of leaders and professionals, but have also contributed significantly to research, innovation, and regional development. These institutions serve as hubs of knowledge, attracting students from across the continent and beyond. According to the QS World University Rankings, 4 universities in East Africa consistently stand out for their academic excellence, research impact, and regional influence. Let's look at the universities in East Africa, the best universities in East Africa according to the latest ranking. Top on the list is Addis Ababa University, that's the Ethiopia, founded in 1950. Addis Ababa University AAU is Ethiopia's oldest and most prestigious higher education institution. It has long served as the intellectual backbone of the country, producing generations of policymakers, scholars, and professionals. Beyond academics, the university has also been central to Ethiopia's political and intellectual history, making it a key institution not just nationally but across East Africa. Second is Makerere University at Uganda, often described as the Harvard of Africa. Makerere University is one of the continent's most internationally recognized universities, established in 1922. It is also one of Africa's oldest. Makerere has built a strong reputation in medicine, public health, education, and social sciences. It has produced influential figures across East and Central Africa, including president, writers, and leading academics. Third is University of Nairobi, that's at the Kenya. The University of Nairobi is Kenya's leading public university and a major research hub in East Africa, known for its strong programs in law, engineering, medicine, and economics. The institution plays a vital role in shaping Kenya's professional and policy landscape. Its location in Nairobi, one of Africa's fastest growing tech and business hubs, has also helped the university strengthen its ties with industry, startups, and international organizations, boosting both employability and innovation. University of Khartoum at Sudan. Despite years of political and economic challenges, the University of Khartoum remains one of Africa's most respected academic institutions. Founded in 1902, it is the oldest university in Sudan and has a long-standing reputation for excellence in medicine, engineering, and natural sciences. Its inclusion in the QS rankings highlights the resilience of academic institutions in difficult environment and underscores their continued regional significance. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of African Economy. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms at Spectrum TV Live. Remember, African Economy airs live every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Until next time, keep thinking growth, keep thinking progress, because this is where Africa's economy speaks. I am Wang Fonabasi Walter. Goodbye, Africa.